Wanted to share one of my DIY projects with you. I recently milled up a big old batch of hemlock, and I've gone ahead and used some of it to make a 3-bin composting system. I'm really hoping to get a little bit higher quality compost and maybe a little bit more quantity. So I've gone ahead and built these, and I wanted to share a build video with you guys today. Okay, now before I go through and show you the build itself, I just want to give you kind of an overview of what we're working with here. See a very typical design like you see on probably a whole bunch of YouTube videos with the removable slats. So it's easy to unload, multiple bins, where I'll start here with my raw ingredients, flip it into this bin, and then further into this bin where hopefully by the time it gets to this end it will be finished compost. Okay, well let's go check out the build process. Okay, I grabbed a little pile of 1x8s out of my freshly cut hemlock that I cut a few videos back. First thing I'm going to make are the back panels, the back walls. So I'm going to go ahead and square up one end of each of these boards and then cut them to 8 feet long. Okay, well I have my 3 backboards here, and I don't really want to stain these because they're going to be in contact with my compost, which ends up in my food. So I don't want to worry about any stain or anything migrating into the dirt. So I'm going to go ahead and use my my flame weeder here. I'm going to do the Shou Sugi Ban technique and burn this stuff pretty well, so that it'll hopefully slow down the bugs a little bit and slow down the rot. Alright, there we go. One side is nicely charred now. I'm going to let it cool off for 5 or 10 minutes. We'll flip them over and do the other side. Alright, there we go. All the back sides are done. So now I'll start cutting some of the sides and the dividers. Alright, here we go. On the sawhorses, I now have 15 1x6. I'm going to now cut this into 30 4-foot pieces. And that will build the sides, the center dividers, and part of the face. So I'm going to do exactly what I did last time with the 1x8. I'm going to go ahead and start squaring up the ends. Cut them to 4-foot chunks, and then we'll go ahead and burn them again. Alright, now I have all my 4-foot 1x6s cut, and they're ready to burn. Okay, my pile is going, so officially now that's the back and all of the horizontal boards that go on the sides and the center dividers. So next up I have a few more pieces on the sawhorses. These are going to make basically the front faces, the vertical pieces in between the doors, a horizontal sill piece underneath, and then kind of help me finish up the corners and so forth. Alright, this board here will be basically the sill that goes underneath the front doors and kind of ties the whole front end of the thing together. It'll be mostly buried under the soil, and it's 8 foot 2 inches long. Okay, next up I need to do the two very side edges of the front frame. They're going to be made out of 1x4. And in general, I want my sidewalls to be 42 inches tall. So I am going to make these boards that finish out the face at 44 inches tall, which will give me enough to have just a little bit of a gap in between each of the boards on the sidewall. So it'll be something around a 1/2 inch gap between each board to get a tiny bit of airflow. So I'm going to cut two 1x4, 44 inches. Tripod here in a second. Okay, likewise, in between the bins on the outside edges, I just cut the 1x4s now in the dividers. I'm going to have 1x6, also 44 inches. Alright, this here should be the last bit of my 1x material. This stuff is going to go on the corners. I just cut the face frames. Now these are going to be around the corner from those same faces. They have to go the same 44 inches down, plus they have to go an additional 4 inches to catch my little sill underneath. So these are going to be 48 inches, and I need 4 of them. I need one for each one for each side wall, and one for each dividing wall. Okay, the final pieces I need are some 2x2 cleats that will go vertically in all the corners to kind of lock all the pieces together. In the back, up against the fence, I'm going to cut them at 44 inches tall to match the height of the panel. So I need one for each corner, one for each divider, so I need 4 pieces 44 inches long. This rough saw's pretty big stuff. For a skill saw, it's right at the max. Alright, the last 2x2s I need are going to go against the front face of the bins, and I'm going to cut them at a diagonal so I can pound them into the ground kind of like a stake. These are a little bit over 5 feet long. They're probably longer than I'm going to be able to pound into the ground before I hit bedrock. But basically I'll cut the taper on this end, I'll rip it down the middle afterwards, and end up with some 2x2 stakes. And after I pound them into the ground as deep as I can get it, I'll just cut the tops off. But in general, these are about 5 feet long, and I need a total of 10 of them. And of course, to answer the question many of you might have, why don't I just cut this on the sawmill and rip them down the middle? Yeah, I plopped a big old log on there and I don't feel like dealing with it right now. I'm busy building compost bins. So I'll resort to inside tools. Alright, that should be basically all the pieces of the frame. I might need a diagonal brace or something here and there in the long run. But in general, that should be all of the frame except for the front slat doors. So it's just time to burn these ones. Okay, excluding the slats for the front door, that should be just about all of the wood I'm going to need. It's going to be time now to start assembling panels. I'm going to build the 2 side panels and the 2 dividers that go in the middle first, and then we'll put together the back. Alright, this here is roughly how one side is going to lay out. This 2x2 will actually go on the back side. But it's more or less going to look like this. There will be a 4-inch overhang down here that I have to adjust a little bit. That's part of the fun part of playing with the Sooty boards. But basically I'll have 4 of these, 1 for each of the outer sides, and 2 for the center dividers. So I'm going to go ahead and get these things lined up a lot more closely, and we will start screwing them together. Okay, next up, this board is going to be flush on the top. It's going to stick down 4 inches on the bottom. So again, I'm just going to screw the two corners. Alright, now this end wants to be exactly 44 inches tall, just like this. Let me measure it to make sure. 44, 44, right there. Alright, now that we've got these four corners screwed down, I'll go ahead and square this whole thing up. Make sure we're looking good. Yeah, see, I'm a little bit out here. Put it there. Okay, now for the rest of these boards, I just want to leave an airspace in between. And I think the old eyeball trick is going to be good enough for me. Thunder's coming. Just finished up just in time. You'll probably notice I have two lefts and two rights. The overhang is on opposite ends. But otherwise I got four identical panels all made up, and I'm going to go get my tools in before I get wet. Alright, this is where I'm going to assemble the bins. This is exactly where the old ones were. They were made out of welded wire, and I really didn't like them too much. They dried out too much, and too much stuff fell out through the sides. So this is the spot I have to work with. First thing I'm going to do is I just got to rake along the bottom of the fence, kind of get all the material pulled off, because I am going to remove this fencing from these posts before I start building the compost bins against it. Wow. There we go. Well, let's see if we got this, or if there's a staple hiding someplace underneath. Looks like we might be in luck. That's just snagged up on the pipe there. Perfect. The hose is in the way. Very nice. Alright, gotta get it in there leveled up and screw it down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trial fit this panel. It's going to sit essentially like that, but it's going to sink down lower so that the bottom corners are flush over there. So on this side, this is where I left that long post. This is going to get buried to go down into the soil to try and hopefully keep this front end from jiggling around. So let me get this hole dug right here. We'll get the wall attached. Yeah, so of course I'm 2 inches down. Big old rock in there, as is the case all the time. Getting there. All right. This is our wonderful soil, by the way. I don't want that in my compost. Now I think we're in business. Last words. I'll get this one too. There. Now we're in business. All right, I have that one propped up. It's oop. Maybe I don't. Let's do over. Okay, I've got this guy propped up on the on some rocks and everything. It's kind of leaning in the right place. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some nails and screws in this to get it all held together. Okay, got two sides on. It's time to put on the center divider, but I don't know if you can see them flying past the screen or not, but the mosquitoes are killing me, so I'm going to take a break, and I'll probably come back at this tomorrow. All right, I've gone ahead and finished up that trench, and the sill is now laid in place where it's going to go. I have been now removing some soil from there, just because there was basically a hump built up here, and I'm shaving it off, and I'll actually have to remove some material right here as well. It's currently about 3 or 4 inches taller than the sill. But now I will fasten both ends, square up this box, and then put some fill along the side panels. Let's try and get a good diagonal measurement here. It's a little tough with the rough surface. That's got to go that way just a little bit. I know the shadows are kind of fighting with me a little bit here, but I have dug trenches where both of the center divider panels are going to go. And I've also put some painter's tape on the back wall, put some pencil marks on there so I can get these things put in at the right spot. Okay, much like the end panels, these have the little dog leg that sticks down. It's time to get this in the right spot. Another inch or so. A little bit of crud back here I gotta move. Alright, I'm gonna put a screw in this, but only one for now. I want to get the other panel just to make sure all of these spaces are totally equal before I go to town here, because I want all my doors to be universal. Alright, I came in here and pretty much backfilled everything, spread the dirt around, got it all nice and flush with my sill. I still do, it's hard to see in the camera, there is still a slope here that I do want to basically clean up a little bit more, but for now we're ready to continue. So now we're going to go ahead and put the face frames on that will hold the slats for the front doors. Okay, here on this end wall I'm going to put on this piece of 1x4. Well, get all the dirt off the bottom there. Sorry. Alright. And we'll just screw this guy on, flush on the outside, and that gives us a nice big pocket up here for the sides to go into. Okay, here on the center dividers, because we have to cover 2 doors. This is a 1x6. Nice overhang on both sides. Alright, and there we go. All the face frames are assembled. I think that's looking pretty good. Next up, I'm going to put a 2x2 back something like this to create the slot, and I made these extra long and tapered at the end so that I can tap these into the dirt, which will hopefully also stiffen up the sides a little bit more. Alright, now we all saw how fast I hit stone. That guy right about there when I started digging, so I'll probably get this this post about 1/4 of an inch on the ground and hit bedrock, but let's see. That's about it, but still, I'm gonna screw this all together with the one on the other side. I'm gonna start getting pretty rigid. And here we go. I've got my posts on all panel ends now, so I've got my pockets all set up and ready to accept the doors. So I'm gonna run inside, grab my Sawzall, so I can chop these all off to height. Okay, and that is it. The frames are basically done. I only want to put diagonal braces on the walls to make them a little bit less jiggly, but otherwise. Okay, now I'm going to start cutting up these diagonal braces. They're 24 inches long out of 2x4. I'm going to need 4 of them, one for each side panel and divider, to keep everything nice and square. Just about there. Okay, I've installed diagonal brackets on each of the walls. You'll notice this last bin at the end has 2 brackets. Now, I do want to point something out, is I'm going to start over here. This will be my first bin with my raw materials, and I will be shoveling over the wall this direction. So I deliberately put the brace on that wall so I don't hit it with my shovel as I'm trying to throw stuff over the wall. And this bin at the end, the materials actually be coming out into my trailer probably, which will be parked right here in the front. So it's not so much of an issue there. That's why I did the double brace on this particular bin instead of over at the first one. Okay, now I'm cutting up a whole bunch of 1x8 to use as door panels. I think that's going to be all right. Okay, and that is it. My bins are officially done. I have to do a little bit of landscaping around the front of this here to get rid of the hill where the rocks are. Not bad at all. Okay, thanks for watching today, and I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration if you have to build a set of compost bins for yourself. Maybe this will give you a couple of ideas.